Mr. Chairperson, I rise to oppose the introduction of the Viksit Bharat Shiksha Adhishtan Bill 2025 under Rule 70(1) of the Rules of Procedure and Conduct of Business in the Lok Sabha. The grounds for the opposition of the bill are as follows. First, the bill results in excessive centralization of higher education and violates the constitutional distribution of legislative competence. While Parliament may legislate under entry 66 of List 1 on coordination and determination of standards, this power is limited and cannot be used to occupy the entire field of legislation. The bill goes far beyond standards and intrudes into administration, affiliation, establishment, and closure of university campuses, their institutional autonomy, matters falling within entry 25 of List 3 and entry 32 of List 2, which covers incorporation and regulation of state universities. Second, the bill suffers from excessive delegation of legislative power, vast and substantial, ranging from accreditation frameworks, degree-granting powers, penalties, institutional autonomy, and even supersession are left to be determined by rules, regulations, and executive direction. This abdication of essential legislative functions violates settled constitutional principles governing delegated legislation. Third, the bill undermines the autonomy and independence of statutory regulatory bodies by making them bound by policy directions of the central government and subject to supersession at executive discretion. Such provisions erode institutional independence and offend the constitutional requirement of fairness, non-arbitrariness, and check on executive power under Article 14. Fourth, the bill also concerns Article 19(1)(g) of the Constitution of India by subjecting educational institutions to pervasive executive control, graded autonomy, intrusive compliance requirements, severe penalties and closure powers. It imposes disproportionate and unreasonable restrictions on the right to carry on education as an occupation. While regulation in the public interest is permissible under Article 19(6), the bill goes far beyond reasonable regulation and vests unguided overboard powers that fail the test of proportionality as laid down by this House and the Supreme Court. And last, Mr. Chairperson, sir, I oppose the bill given the overriding clause given by this bill over all other laws, coupled with the powers to supersede existing regulations, raising serious concerns of arbitrariness, legal uncertainty, impacting institutions established under state laws without any safeguards. And I do hope, Mr. Chairperson, sir, that the Minister would reply to each and every ground on which the introduction of this bill has been opposed. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairperson, sir. I rise to oppose the introduction of the Sustainable Harnessing and Advancement of Nuclear Energy for Transforming India Bill 2025 under Rule 70(1) of the Rules of Procedure and Conduct of Business in the Lok Sabha on the following grounds. First, the bill confers sweeping and pervasive powers on the central government across licensing, regulation, acquisition, tariff fixation, exemptions, emergency powers, and even novation of private contracts. Clauses empowering the centre to acquire mines, plants, reactors, substances, and contractual rights by executive action, while compensation determined largely by the government itself raises grave concerns under Article 300A of the Constitution of India and the guarantee against arbitrary deprivation of property. Second, permitting profit-seeking private participation in ultra-hazardous nuclear activities while simultaneously limiting liability, granting statutory immunities, and restricting judicial remedies undermines the state's non-delegable public trust obligations over life, health, and the environment. Such an arrangement amounts to an unconstitutional abdication of essential sovereign responsibilities and functions under Article 21 and 48A, where the state is required to act as a trustee, and a guarantor, and not merely as a facilitator or a licensor. Third, the bill suffers from excessive delegation of essential legislative functions. Core policy matters such as liability limits, safety standards, exemptions, regulatory norms, emergency measures, and even amendment of schedules are left to rules, regulations, or notifications issued by the executive. This abdication of parliamentary responsibility violates settled constitutional limits on delegated legislation under Article 245 and 246. And finally, Mr. Chairperson, sir, the bill concentrates legislative, executive, regulatory, and quasi-judicial powers in the central government and authorities appointed, controlled, and removable by it, including the Atomic Energy Regulatory Board, which needs to be an independent, autonomous statutory regulator. The absence of institutional independence, coupled with wide direction-issuing powers and insulation clauses, undermines the doctrine of separation of powers, which is a basic feature of the Constitution. On these grounds, I strongly oppose the introduction of this bill.